In a lifetime, long, long, long ago, long before I was a women's soulpreneur coach, long before I was a yoga teacher, even long before I was a nutrition coach and personal chef in women's homes, long before any of these things, I was a 6th grade Spanish teacher. And in that magical land microcosm, petri dish of human behavior, rolling out, playing out at all times, every hour of the day, every moment, interwoven in every exclamation of joy from the children that this is so fun, or pushback from the children that this is too hard, everything all at once, I learned a thing or two about being able to sniff out really acutely when humans are self-sabotaging, avoiding, evading, growing, learning, launching ahead when they're not ready, holding themselves back when they should be moving forward, restricting themselves to a false self-imposed, self-limiting narrative, and so on. Fast forward 7 years, and I've seen the same sets of behaviors and tendencies roll out in my marketing, branding, and photography clients, and especially in my women's one-to-one soulpreneur coaching clients. You better believe it. People think they are so stealthy, but for someone raised in a teaching setting, both my parents were lifelong school teachers too, I can just smell the stuff from a mile away. Here are 6 of the stinky secrets my clients think they keep from me. And make sure you hang with me and listen to the very end when we get to the part where I accept that this secret keeping is at least partially my fault. Now for the disclaimer. If you're my current client or a past client and you're tuning in today and you're like, oh my God, this is me, she's talking about me, I would say relax. I would say I'm kind of talking about you, but not exactly. If I've sniffed the stinky secret once, I've sniffed it 100 times. So it's not that I'm talking specifically about you, capital Y-O-U per se. I'm speaking more to an archetype of you. You get me? So yeah, get ready, because even though they're not specifically about you, some of these might really hit home. Stinky secret number 1. They self-sabotage. My clients self-sabotage, and this most often happens right when they feel like they are about to up-level. And I'm over here on the edge of my seat, so excited for them, waiting to see them make their big move. And then their last minute out of the blue road trip comes through my Instagram feed, literally. So for a lot of my clients, self-sabotage looks like booking a sudden self-care trip. In my honest opinion, self-care is booked far in advance, like any other thing that's important on your calendar. In my client sessions, I actually check in to ask, what's your self-care looking like? Do you have a massage coming up on your schedule? Do you have a facial? What is it? I raise an eyebrow when I see my clients, or any human being for that matter, making a last-minute change or a sudden deviation from the plan, any plan. What it usually means is that they're panicking or second-guessing themselves, which leads to this particular example of self-sabotaging. And you know what? It's typically when things are going really well, you could say, and I'm asking them to step up and show up for a new thing or a new up-leveled iteration. Things are rolling along great, and then poof, my client is on a massage table in Sea Ranch because hashtag self-care. Cue me inserting my eye roll right here. Self-care is an absolute non-negotiable essential, but I encourage my clients to book those in advance because they are indeed that important. Are you guilty of stinky secret number 1? Are you guilty of self-sabotage? Does it manifest as last-minute self-care or something different? The majority of my clients are in the yoga, wellness, health industry, so I think that's why the default to a self-care deep dive when they're spiraling is usually sort of the standout example for me. On to stinky secret number 2. They are terrified, like in caps, terrified, to show up in their own newsletter mailing list. They apologize in their emails for showing up too often. Very often they'll they'll market someone else at the top and put like a tiny thumbnail of themselves at the bottom. Similarly, they're terrified of showing up on camera. For a really long time, I thought it had to do with my clients' body image issues, or that they were worrying about how others would judge them. But after years of digging into this topic, even a long time ago with my nutrition coaching clients, not just my business soulpreneur clients, it turned out to be this unwillingness to show up. It was much more intrapersonal than interpersonal, meaning it had more to do with my clients seeing themselves versus how others might respond to seeing them showing up. And I didn't really accept this for a long time when clients would try to articulate this to me. I just assumed, that everyone was just so afraid of being judged by others, which can be true at times. But it turns out, like in this particular instance, it's not what's actually happening here. I think I finally wrapped my head around it now. It's like those instances when other people can see big things and big dreams for us, but we can't even see big things for ourselves. And the vice versa is true, right? It totally makes sense for us to see Sally, pretend person, showing up big in her branding and her marketing, and that feels natural to see her that way. But because we are so zoomed into our own selves, we don't have enough of a broad enough perspective to see ourselves as bigger than we currently are, or bigger than what we currently think we are. Are you guilty of stinky secret number 2? Are you terrified of showing up in your mailing list or on camera? Stinky secret number 3, they work for free and they do bad trades. Also, I'm going to lump into this one. They're not following the 30% rule, and they're downright not paying attention to their money. The thing that makes me cry my eyes out the most is when I'm coaching a woman who has dedicated every waking hour and every subconscious ounce of energy to dedicating herself to bringing her vision for her business to life. And then we log on a call and she starts rattling off and tells me all the free fitness classes she's taught recently and all the bad trades she's wrapped in currently that's draining her energy. As far as the free fitness classes go, I won't go into it too deep. It can be so stinky and egregious of an example, like when a fitness instructor, for whatever reason, has agreed to teach in exchange for no compensation. I really can't think of any reason for that other than like it's a children's charity event. If you can think of any other examples, DM me. The more common example is like less egregious, like you're asked to teach for free at a community building event, like when a fitness clothing brand, not going to drop any names, they ask fitness teachers to teach for free, and in exchange the teacher gets exposure, plus they get a free tank top or something like that. The tank top, by the way, that costs the company something like $2 to manufacture. This topic of non-payment and women working for free, it merits its own podcast episode, which I probably won't feel inclined to do. But suffice it to say, I'm categorically against it as someone who has fallen prey to it so many times early on in my yoga teaching career. Please save yourself a lot of heartache and resentment. Shoot me a DM on Instagram if this is something you're struggling with. It tends to affect newer teachers, though I have mind-bogglingly heard of veteran teachers falling victim to this as well. My guideline is to say no, thank you, next, and literally move on to the next opportunity that pays. Which brings me to the point about trades. Don't do trades. I have gotten into so many long, drawn-out conversations about like trading skills between practitioners, like, I don't know, a haircut for a massage, where the other party gets really worked up, the person I'm talking to, because she's done so many trades and is at that exact moment wondering why her bank books are upside down, why her accountant is frustrated with her, why she can't afford X, Y, and Z. In my experience, practitioners who enter trades with each other spend way more time clarifying first and then later on arguing about what the terms of the trade actually were. There's always one party at the end who feels like she overextended and got the raw end of the deal. I always tell these women, honey, take the same amount of time and energy that you're putting into arranging the trade, and instead of the trade, ditch the trade. Put that amount of time and energy and talent into getting 1 or 3 or 5 or 10 paying clients in the same amount of time. Just don't do trades. I have not heard of 2 genuinely happy parties at the end of a trade. If you can feel your blood boiling and getting yourself worked up, please drop me a DM if you are a shining example of a successful trade. I would love to hear it if that's the case. And it's not even about trading. The crux of teaching for free and engaging in bad trades, stinky secret, the crux is just an out of touchness with your money. You have to be super intimate with your money, all touchy-feely with your money. How much is coming in and how much is going out? And if you think that's all you need to know, you've missed the point. Soulpreneurs need to understand, what does it actually cost you to get money in? Here comes my 30% rule. Let's say I have a client who comes to me and says, Marissa, I'm going to offer this prospective client my whatever package for $1,000. And I'm like, okay, great. Before you send her your HoneyBook contract, how much does it cost you to get that $1,000 in? And then we go through my favorite gymnastic of, what tax bracket are you in? So let's say she's going to have to pay 17% on that $1,000 in income. So now lickety split, $1,000 has already become $830. Don't forget the 3%-ish processing fees for whatever platform or platforms you're using to process your contract, your booking, and the payment processing. So if my client's paying closer attention, she'll know that her package has to be at least $1,170 to cover the taxes, then add on another $30 for the processing fee. So her $1,000 package already should be $170 in taxes, $30 in processing fees, an additional $200. Now we're at $1,200. Not to mention other incidentals or supplies or other costs of doing business that sometimes just can't, not even by a Capricorn, can't be predicted entirely at the outset. So she'll be closer to $1,300 if she wants to give herself a little more padding, hence the 30% rule. Are you guilty of teaching for free, making bad trades, ignoring your money, and the 30% rule? You're welcome. Stinky secret number 4 rolls in on the coattails of the previous one. And it rolls in after the fact because it's a little more benign, harder to spot, even harder to realize or articulate. Stinky secret number 4, see, it even hurts to say it because it hits close to home, is like they're regretting their choices of collaboration partners. So for example, you're co-hosting an event and the person you've chosen to collaborate with doesn't have a mailing list, doesn't use social media, doesn't teach anywhere on a schedule or in a public setting. Chances are they're not providing the venue either. So in other words, they're not bringing anything, or anyone for that matter, to the party, other than the fact that they are probably a nice person. They're probably a newer practitioner or they're new to the community, and my client is trying to help them. Insert another eye roll right here, because we need a separate episode that I also won't feel inclined to write and record about how women trying to help all the time gets us into so many bad situations. Some are mild, like a bad collaboration or a trade. Some are major, like the girl in The Silence of the Lambs, helping move the sofa into the back of the van. And I'm sorry to escalate this like that. We just went from like soulpreneurship to Silence of the Lambs. That's what comes to mind whenever I think of women overextending themselves, basically getting kidnapped, basically hijacking our agency and giving ourselves away. Okay, it's extreme, so I'm not writing and recording an episode about that one. Back to collaborations though, a mild example of overextension. When it's not a great collaboration, but here's the problem. You've already agreed. So my advice to my client is, if it's already agreed upon, you have to honor the collaboration. File this in the mental filing cabinet, for future reference of what you're looking for in your future collaboration partners. Like most things in soulpreneurship, it comes down to entering into literally everything with a really clear goal. And in this case, the issue is not the person. The issue is that you haven't stopped to ask yourself, what is the purpose of this program? What is the goal of the gathering? What is the goal of this partnership and collaboration? Is it a one-off, or is this something we hope to collaborate on for a long time into the future? And if you have those clear goals, then you can't go wrong. It's like a ship staying aligned to the North Star. But without goals, or like a ship with no itinerary, it sounds like a lot of hard work that's bound to go nowhere. So these unthought out collaborations sound a lot like bad trades in a way. But then again, they can be boiled down to that lack of goal, lack of clarity, and a misallocation of energy. Stinky secret number 5. They don't entirely know what they want, or they don't know how to do something. And it manifests as a dog ate my homework kind of moment, like this one coming directly straight from my school teacher days. My clients feel ashamed when their goal for their business or their life isn't super clear, or I've given them an assignment, like content creation oriented, that maybe they don't know entirely what to do. Like I've given them a template, but they don't know completely what to do. And sometimes it's good not to spell out every single step for a student or a client, because you want to get a feel for the extent, and you get to know a person this way, of like how far someone tries or doesn't try to help themselves. But after 7 to 13 minutes of watching my client spin around in our Google Doc or our shared Canva template, I'll respond to them with a screen recording like a loom of how to do the next step. And here's the thing. It's not their fault. Not that they don't know, but that they don't ask for help. The thing is, women are expected to know how to do everything all the time. The funny thing is that in public settings, we're told to ask for help. Let's create a culture of asking for help. But in private, we face so many negative consequences when we ask for help. I'm thinking of more like traditional 9-to-5 work settings where we face real consequences like demotion or getting reassigned, when we don't know how to do something right away. Yeah, so my clients are ashamed. So it's no wonder that my clients are ashamed to admit when they don't know something or how to do something, even though that's what they've paid me for. It's because society has it set up that we have to make it look like we know what we're doing all the time. I'm not completely wrapping up number 5 because it rolls us into number 6. So stay with me for stinky secret number 6. My clients are eternally waiting for permission. I'm talking like engraved invitations. Sometimes I have to roll out the red carpet. And like with some clients, we now have an ongoing lighthearted joke like, you don't need a permission slip for this, but if you did, consider this is me giving it to you. Women are always waiting on engraved invitations, to write a book or to launch a podcast or to give a speech or to start a business. It's because we're raised in these contexts where like, first we have to let the boys go first, then we have to go get a doctorate. We've been so berated or belittled then from example number 5 for not knowing all the answers. So this unwillingness to ask for help, number 5, and the need for engraved permission, number 6, they go hand in hand in cultural and professional contexts. Because why would permission be granted to someone who doesn't have all the answers? I have been there a lot in workplaces that were more traditional, non-entrepreneurial work settings. Here's the part, okay, you've hung with me this whole time. Here's the part where all my clients' secret keeping is at least partially my fault. And it has to do with this weird cultural norm around coaching, like health coaching or business coaching or like life coaching, which I get fundamentally. The idea of like unlocking a client's wisdom, answers, and solutions to their own problems from within. I agree with it fundamentally, but in practice on a daily basis, I couldn't disagree more, because of the ways it plays out in the 6 cases I've laid out today. So for example, in my earlier coaching days, I'm thinking of like my health coaching. For example, in my earlier coaching days, in my earnest attempt to observe healthy boundaries and honor a client's personal agency, I would twiddle my thumbs and wait for a client to come to me like with like really well articulated self-aware questions. Like when I was in nutrition school, like a nutrition client who wanted to lose weight but kept eating chocolate bars right before bed. And I felt as if, I had been taught to tiptoe around this glaring issue, like a major cause of the problem. And like my coaching teachers didn't really give me the agency to address it. It's year 7 now, and I'm being way more proactive. I'm stepping in more firmly. My clients get a Google form from me in the weeks that we don't have our Zoom one-to-one. And the end of, like the last question at the end, it varies. Okay, now my clients are gonna go look at this week's form. It varies on a scale of like a sense of what is going on. So sometimes it says, anything else you would like to share with me? And then other days it says, anything else I need to know? And then other days it's like, hey girl, is there anything you're not telling me that is pertinent, nay crucial to our work together? And honestly, clients just very often have not told me things that I would really need to know in order to help them be successful, despite the fact that they are paying me to help them. And like so much in life pertaining to coaches and consultants and teachers and guides and mentors, it comes down to that sentiment of help me help you. And the secret keeping doesn't help. Not one of them, not all 6 of them. And I can smell it anyway because it stinks. I can smell it all the way from over here. If a new client comes to me saying, hey Marissa, I'm having a save me from myself moment, then why would I sit there on Zoom like this week after week, watching them undercharging, overtrading, last second self-care, escapism, self-sabotaging in Sea Ranch, eating candy bars right before bed? And why would I sit here not saying anything? Even earlier on, when I wasn't coaching per se, but I was providing services like, oh my God, how long was I a newsletter ghostwriter, social media content creator? I've written so many courses and programs for people. I definitely waited too often and too long for the client to tell me what they wanted, even though they didn't know what they wanted. And they were definitely not experts in content creation, which is why they hired me in the first place. So there's like that sort of the client is always right mentality, which isn't true because they've hired me because I'm the topic expert. So why would I hold back? Suffice it to say, those days are over. And if you know me by now, I'm certainly not over here sitting around waiting for any engraved invitations, red carpet rollouts, or permission slips to help you. Because I'm here asking you in that weekly Google form, help me help you because your secrets stink and I can smell them all the way from over here. So now I ask you, capital Y-O-U, yo girly, is there any information pertinent to your continued progress that you're withholding from me? We have a good time. We have a good time. This is the part I would love to hear from you. Which of these 6 secrets are you keeping from me? Or worse, which of these 6 secrets are you keeping from yourself? I understand this one may have hit a nerve, or 2, or 6. Don't forget, I'm originally from New Jersey, so you have to forgive me for some things. I'm sending you so much love. Go shine your light.